Okay, so good evening everyone. Welcome to the ordinary meeting of the Planning and Transportation Committee for November. This meeting will be held under the regulations allowing local authorities to meet formally using remote technology, and it is being streamed live and is available to view on our website. It's important for everyone participating in the meeting to please keep your microphones on mute when you're not speaking so as to reduce disruption from background noise. And throughout the meeting, councillors should have the chat window open so that you can indicate when you wish to speak or if you have to leave the meeting. When your name is called, you will need to unmute your microphone, turn your camera on and wait for the live and the red line to appear around your screen. Please ensure obviously you speak clearly. Decision making will be made by the general assent of those present. However, if a vote is required, each councillor's name will be called out by the assistant town clerk and you'll be asked to state whether you are for, you are against or you are abstaining. If at any time the town council's technology fails and we need to adjourn the meeting for a brief period, I will confirm this and ask those present to turn their cameras off and mute their microphones while the problem is rectified, and I will then confirm when the meeting resumes. We can only monitor the technology at our end and cannot halt the meeting if a member of the press or public experiences technology issues. I will now ask the Assistant Town Clerk to carry out the roll call of councillors and ask you to confirm that you are present. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Buckland.
Present.
Councillor Chase.
Present.
Councillor Long.
Present.
Councillor Rhodes.
Present.
Councillor Tandy.
Present.
And Councillor Turner.
Present.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. So we begin with item 1, which is mobile phones. Members are reminded to please switch their mobile devices to silent for the duration of the meeting. Item 2 is apologies. On account we have a full house, I assume we have no apologies.
There are none, Chair.
Thank you. Item 3 is declarations of interest. The standing declarations on the agenda are noted, and members or officers are reminded to make any other declarations as and when they become apparent at the appropriate time during the meeting or now. Are there any declarations that members wish to make at the beginning? I'll take that as a no. As and when, as we get to the planning applications, if there are any, then obviously please declare them as and when. Item 4 is the minutes. So the minutes of the meeting held on the 12th of October 2020 have been circulated and are attached at pages 4 to 9 of the agenda pack. Can I ask that members are happy for them to be approved?
Approved, Chairman.
Yes, happy with those.
Thank you. So I will sign those as and when we can in the current circumstances, and that will be noted in the minutes. Item 5 is Chair's report on urgent items, and I will hand over to the Assistant Town Clerk for, I believe, 2 urgent items.
Thank you, Chair. The first item, and that's with apologies to members, as this should have been included on the agenda. Members will recall that towards the end of October, we received notification which was circulated to you of a resubmission by the developers at Hampton Park of phase 4 of the development. This is reference LU 17820. And this is proposals for 46 dwellings in the part of the development that is the central wetland area. The previous application was reviewed and the developer has resubmitted plans that aim to address concerns raised in the earlier application. Emily's just showing you there the planning statement that was submitted with the application. We do also have a plan of the proposals which will show members better the layout of the new design there, which also shows details of where parking, etc., and the main access is planned. Previously, the committee had objected to the plans for this phase, and that was on the grounds that parking provision was insufficient. The revised plans show that in this respect, the number of parking spaces allocated is now at 108.5, and this includes garage provision on the larger houses. This is slightly more than is required by the local authority on their parking calculator, and there are also additional parking spaces for visitors' cars at 10, motorcycles and bikes at 8 and 6 respectively. These spaces have been located close to the properties in question, and the larger detached and semi-detached properties have a garage or double garage included within their properties. And this revised application is for members who are asked to comment. So I'll hand it back to the committee chair for any comments on that proposal. Emily, could you keep the plan up so that members can see it, please? Thank you.
Could I just ask quickly again how many residences there are? Apologies for jumping in.
It's 46 dwellings in total. So you've got 18 flats and 18 and a further 6, so that's 24 in total, and the remainder 22 are 3 and 4 bedroomed houses.
Perfect. So Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Chair. Have we got to make a decision on this tonight? Because there's a lot of information there that is not possible to take on board.
Yeah, they are asking us to. They had extended the deadline previously. It was circulated to members on the 20th of October.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so just to be clear, that at our meeting in July, we objected on the grounds that there was insufficient parking provision in our view. And I can't remember if the Assistant Town Clerk had how many parking places were planned before. So how many are we seeing an increase of? Do we know?
I don't know,
No.
sorry.
But it is substantial, isn't it?
It is, yes, yeah. Indeed, yeah.
Okay, so on that basis, my view would be we did object purely on the grounds that parking was insufficient, and we're now being offered 108.5. I won't ask how you get 0.5, but we are 108.5 for 46, which seems to me it is over the top of what is needed. Councillor Buckland wishes to come in.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm not going to steal your thunder because I think you're 100% right, and that's what I was going to actually say, that as they have gone above and beyond to supply parking facility, and with for the larger properties a garage location as well as, I think that takes quite into consideration our, when we sort of like basically objected back in July, and that's so more than happy to go with whatever you're going to suggest, Chairman, and if need be I'll second it. Thank you. Okay,
so my suggestion was that we remove our previous objection on the grounds of insufficient parking, because my view would be that there is now sufficient parking at 108 spaces. Are you happy to second that, Councillor Buckland?
I am happy to second that, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I mean, the average is out at 2.3 spaces per residence. I don't know how many people that might represent in terms of the residences, but it does sound like a big improvement. And you like to think that they do listen to our comments, and they appear to have done on this occasion. So I don't think we would get any further. So I'd be happy to support the suggestion that we remove our objection. Thank you.
Thank you. And then if there's no one else to speak, I will put that to the meeting for general assent. Is the committee happy to remove our objection on the grounds of not insufficient parking?
Very happy.
Agreed, Chairman.
Agreed.
Yes, agreed.
Sort of agreed. It's hardly sufficient. It's only sufficient as long as none of them have any visitors, isn't it, really?
There is additional parking on top of that.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, agreed then. Thank you.
I think that's the closest we'll get to assent, so we'll take that as general assent.
Thank you very much, Chair. The next item, and this notification has come through this afternoon. Members will recall that as part of the District Council's local plan work, they had organised a number of parish workshop briefing meetings with parishes to take the local plan provisions forward. We've been notified that they are scheduling another meeting for parishes on Monday the 16th of November. This will give an update in terms of their review work on the local plan, guidance on various policies within it, including conservation area and heritage asset work. This is really just for members to note. Previously, I had attended with the chair of this committee, and Councillor Tandy has indicated he would be available to attend. So we'll bring an update on that meeting to the next meeting of this committee, and it's for members to note. Thank you.
Agreed.
Thanks.
Agreed.
That is noted. And then we move on to item 6, the public forum. In accordance with the remote meetings protocol, which has been introduced and adopted by the Town Council, members of the public wishing to address the Council or its committees during the remote meeting should have emailed their submission to us on one clear day before the meeting. The Assistant Town Clerk will confirm if there are any.
There are none, Chair.
I think we've lost the Assistant Town Clerk.
Oh.
I haven't. She's still there.
There we go. You're back. I think it might have been me.
Just to confirm, there are none, Chair.
Thank you. There are no public questions. So item 7 is planning and other Arran District Council matters. And we begin with 7.1, and I'll hand over to the Assistant Town Clerk, who will take us through the lists.
Okay, just to confirm that unfortunately the District Council's planning portal isn't available, so we won't be able to show any drawings this evening. So if I begin with your lists on page 10 of the agenda, and the first application there is at 33 Pottersmead, reference LU25320. This is a 2-storey side extension, and this is to create additional living accommodation on the property there. There aren't any planning comments on the portal when we checked earlier on today. Open it to members for comments, Chair.
Thank you. Any comments for 33 Pottersmead? Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I spent a lot of time looking at this one this afternoon. It's going to be a very large extension. The outer wall of the side extension will end up, I think it was ½ metre from the boundary, which is a footpath. I don't think there are any windows on that wall, so there will be a big slab of wall. And then is this the one with the rear extension as well?
That's the next one. Do you know?
Oh, is it? My apologies. Yeah, I'm just looking at my notes. I just felt it's almost overdevelopment, but I'm really in two minds about it. I think my concern was it's going to be a huge wall next to a footpath. I don't know if that's an issue or not, but I just felt it was either overdevelopment or it's kind of out of keeping, but I'd be interested to hear other councillors' views. Thank you.
Are there any more views that wish?
No.
All very quiet, so I'm going to ask for if Councillor Long wishes to make that a proposal for an objection or whether everyone else is happy.
I'd be happy to put it as a basis for objection. That's why I would be interested to hear others' views. I really was very concerned because it's going to be, as I say, a lot of wall with nothing to break it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Happy to be proven otherwise.
I think this is the subject of a planning appeal that the inspector upheld for the same reasons recently. So, Councillor Buckland.
Thank you, Chairman. I don't have an issue with it because if you actually take a good look around Little Hampton in general, there are a lot of premises that are built by said public footpaths or whichever type of path you wish to basically talk about. It's a case of there's a lot of these that are built along the side of the footpaths with no windows, totally blank, and that. So I don't have an issue with it. Obviously, if the building inspectorate has upheld it, whichever the case may be, then obviously there is a situation. Now that would be interesting to find out what that is. To what degree, rather than us actually having to make a decision tonight. But like I say, if you go around Little Hampton in general, there's a lot of premises that are, a plain wall along beside a footpath. I mean, I wouldn't want windows alongside a footpath, just because of it being alongside a footpath. So I don't have an issue, but obviously if the building inspectorate does, then I think we need to know what that issue is. Thank you, Chairman.
Chair, may I come back?
Yeah, I was just going to be clear, that this is not I'm not saying that the inspector had a comment on this application. It was a previous application on this site for a similar. So I suspect if we were able to have the planning portal, there may be subtle changes. Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chair. My concern about the wall is obviously it's 2 stories high. It's not just a dividing wall from a garden to a footpath. It is the height of the house, and it's all just plain wall. That was my concern. Thank you.
Okay, does any other member wish to speak? I'll take that as a no. Is any member willing to second the proposal to object? I'll also take that as a no. So I suspect we're going to proceed to vote on no objection would be the proposal. Is there general assent for a no objection, or do we need to have a vote?
Sounds like I'm in a minority here. I'm out on my own on it. So.
No objection.
No objection, Chairman.
No objection.
Can I abstain?
Okay, I think can we record that? Councillor Long wishes to abstain. Is that doable in the minutes?
In that case, if we're calling a vote, everyone needs to vote, if I may, Chair.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so Councillor Buckland, it's no objection you're agreeing to.
No objection, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Chase?
No objection.
Councillor Long?
I'll abstain on this one, thank you.
Councillor Rhodes?
I'll abstain as well.
Councillor Tandy?
No objection from me.
And Councillor Turner.
No objection.
So no objection, Chair.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, if I may, we can move on to the next planning application. And that is reference LU 27520 at 6 Genoa Close. This one is a two-storey side and rear extension and a single-storey front extension as well. Basically filling in above the garage and conservatory to the rear, and also at the front of the premises. Again, there are no comments on the portal.
Okay, thank you. Open it up for discussion.
No.
Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chairman. Perhaps I'm the only one with anything to say tonight. Again, it's going to sort of create a large rectangular footprint with the two-storey extension on the side, so that it creates a 5-bedroom house with an integral garage. It's going to cast a lot of shadow over the adjoining house, I thought, when I looked at it on Google Earth. And it narrows the garage access to the adjoining house. Is it overdevelopment? I'm not sure. I'll be interested in other councillors, other members' comments. Thank you.
Which brings us to the question, does any other member wish to speak? Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Chair. I also wasn't very sure whether this was overdevelopment, as I'm not very sure what the definition of overdevelopment is, but I did feel that perhaps there was rather a lot going on here. I'm happy to be guided on that. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a tentative proposal for an objection on overdevelopment of the site, which I will now take, given that 2 people have done it, I will take as a proposal. And then does any other member wish to speak? So no, so we will proceed. Is the general assent of the committee that there is an objection on the grounds that this is an overdevelopment of the site?
Well, I will certainly say yes. Thank you.
Everyone's been very quiet tonight.
So will I.
Oh,
Me too.
That's 3.
So there's not any, I'm just checking, there's no one wants to dissent from that.
no objection.
I think we may need to go to a vote again.
Sorry, Chairman.
That's all right. That's why we're here.
Okay, so shall we say the proposal is that the committee objects to the planning application on the grounds that it's overdevelopment of the site. If I just go through again, Councillor Buckland.
No objection.
Councillor Chase.
No objection.
Councillor Long.
Yes, objection.
Thank you. Councillor Rhodes.
Yes, objection.
Councillor Tandy.
No objection.
Councillor Turner.
Sorry, I agree with the proposal.
Okay, so that's
A draw then, isn't it?
the objection, yeah. Casting vote, I'm afraid, Chair.
I will maintain my no objection.
Okay. So no objection on that particular application then, Chair. Moving on to the next application on the list, 50 the High Street. This is the casino, and if you go down the list, members, there are actually 3 applications on this site. So if the committee are happy, I'll go through each of the 3 applications so that we can deal with the site together, if that's okay.
Please do.
Okay, so the first one is reference LU 28520, and this is a retrospective application regarding the application to retain 2 additional false arched windows that have been inserted into the first floor of the premises there. There is 1 letter of objection on the website which refers to the status of the building and the fact that it's a special character, and this doesn't preserve the original features. That's the first one. I don't know if members have any views there, or if you want me to go through all 3 and then we can come back to them. The second application is also retrospective, and that relates to these significant changes to the shop front there. And again, there is an objection there, given the nature of the building and its surroundings, really questioning the appropriateness of it. And the third application there is in relation to additional signage that they wish to have inserted at the premises there, which at the present time there aren't any comments on that particular application. So that's those 3 there. The first one, the false arch windows. Don't know if members have any views there.
Councillor Buckland wishes to speak, so I'll go to Councillor Buckland.
Thank you, Chair. Can I go through them just like Juliet has, if that's all right with you, Chair?
Yeah.
So part 1 of the arch windows, I don't have any preference, but you know, I don't see what the real issue is of that on that front. You know, it's above the shop, and that's I think we always accepted what's above is above, and that's where we are. So I don't have any issues on that side of the things. Now, going on to the next part, which is no, it's not on that page, it's on the other one. I knew I'd do this. Is to do with the shutters and so forth. Now, I can understand why the shutters are being put in, because we have had times go by plenty of vandalism to our shop front windows, and let's be fair on this, they cost a small fortune, even though the business may be insured or should be insured, but that doesn't help the business if the windows get smashed, because every time, you know, I honestly don't know if they have like a protected no claims bonus sort of scenario, you know, where windows are concerned or whichever, and you know, after 3 strikes your premium goes up. I have no idea. So I'm supportive of the actual shutters, and that because of, like I say, we've had a lot of vandalism in the high street, and I think it is unfair that the businesses don't get any support in reference to the replacement of their shop front windows, and like I say, we've had quite a lot of that. Retention, going on then to the retention of the 2 numbered internally illuminated fascia signs. I'm going to presume that with depending on what style of shutter they're going to have, whether it's going to be one of them ones that are slotted or a full facial one, as we might say, because it doesn't say, not as far as I can see in the writing, You know, I'm hoping, because it's my pet hate, that we don't have illuminated lights all night. So I'm going to presume that that is going to be down to whatever shutter they have. So happy for the retention of the windows, happy for the retention of the illuminated fascia signs, as long as we know what type of shutters they're going to have, but also the case of supporting the shutters because of the vandalism that's taken place in the town before. Thank you, Chairman.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm muted, so I didn't get interrupted. Thank you. And then we'll go to Councillor Long next, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I'm quite happy with the first one, the retention of the the additional false windows, because it sort of ties in with the frontage of the building next door. I know it's at different levels, but it does start to look a bit joined up. I take Councillor Buckland's comments about the shutters, security, and the fact that, you know, they do cost quite a lot. But I do support the letter of objection that was on the portal regarding the appearance, the colours and so on, that this is the first view you get coming in from the main car park entrance. I just feel we almost need a kind of a guidance document for this area of the town. I appreciate that the buildings are all owned by different people and so on, and so you're never going to get consensus view. But I'm not entirely happy, and as you say, this is retrospective, so presumably this is already done. There's nothing really we can do about it, but I would not have been happy to have approved it if we'd seen it previously. Thank you.
I'm just going to stop muting myself. Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Chair. I'm very, very, very much against retrospective planning consents. I think that they should have come to us in the very beginning, and I tend to feel that they should be made to go back to the original and then apply and then redo it. So I'm kind of torn here. I agree about the shutters, that the vandalism and so on in the town centre could be a real problem. So I've got no real objection to that. The windows, it's very sad that they've gone ahead and put these other two windows in when they should have come to us for planning permission in the first place. But they have done it in keeping with the other two, so I have to say that can't really object to that. The fascia signs, I think, are so garish, and it's going to be the first thing that hits people. So I'm very unhappy about that. So I'm really torn. I don't quite know what to do here. But as far as the shutters are concerned, I'm happy with those. It remains to be seen what other people feel.
Okay, and then Councillor Rhodes.
Hi, I tend to agree with Councillor Andrea Turner. Would we actually have given them permission to put those windows in had they have come to us first? Because I don't know that we would have done. I mean, I know a lot of people in the town are unhappy about them. They do look garish. So I'm not really happy at all. And the same as Councillor Turner, I don't agree with retrospective planning, because they should have come to us in the first place. And I also think they should be made to put them back, but I'm sure that won't happen. And I quite agree with the shutters. So yes, I'm agreeing with Andrea all the way.
Thank you. So we've got three applications. It feels like there's a couple. There's one certainly that I don't think we're objecting to, and there's one that I think we might be. So should we go through them in turn?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the first one is LU 28520. So this is the one for the false windows and the kind of bits above the shop. Does anyone wish to propose an objection to the false windows?
I'm quite happy to propose an objection, but I'm not sure what it would be on the grounds of. I'd have to be guided by you, Freddie.
So
And I'm quite happy to second that.
just wouldn't be in keeping, I would suggest,
in
Chair.
keeping, and this is the building number 50, the High Street, is listed in our neighbourhood plan as a building of special character, so we can use that policy as well. So we have a proposal on the issue of the false windows to object. Is that the general assent of the committee?
I actually felt that they tied in with what was next door, although at different levels. I didn't have a particular issue about it, so I would have said no objection.
Okay, so Jules, can we have a vote, please?
Certainly, Chair. So the proposal is an objection on the grounds that it's out of character given the special character of the building in question. So do you agree with the objection, Councillor Buckland?
No objection.
Thank you. Councillor Chase?
No objection.
Thank you. Councillor Long?
No objection.
Councillor Rhodes?
Object.
Councillor Tandy?
No objection on the false windows.
And Councillor Turner?
I object.
Okay, that's a no objection there, Chair.
Thank you. And then we do LU 286. So this is to retain the shop front, the shutters, and the housing for the shutters. And I think this is the one where I don't think we had a problem. So if I propose no objection for the shutters and the shop front, is that agreeable?
Agreed.
Agreed, Chairman.
Thank you. That one's nice and easy.
Yes.
And then LU 287 is the fascia signs, so the coloured signs, which I think the steer that I was getting was an objection. So if anyone is willing to propose and second an objection.
I would be happy to propose one.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. And so is that general assent that we object on the signage?
Definitely.
Chair.
I'm not hearing any dissent to that.
So that will be an objection there then, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, going back to the original list then, members, the last one on page 10 there, 57 River Road, and again this is a resubmission, and members will recall this from the previous meeting. It's been re-advertised. There appears to have been an issue regarding the boundary of the property and ownership issues, which appear to have been resolved now. So the application was re-advertised. There's been very little change to the actual design of the building, and our previous objections were around the level of parking provided, loss of heritage, and the overlooking aspects of the flats that are proposed there. There is still a further objection on the website from the neighbouring property, which is about overshadowing nature of the new proposals, but otherwise there's very little change to the original application that members saw. So I'll open it up for comment, Chair.
Okay, any comments or observations? Councillor Buckland.
Thank you, Chairman. As much as I'm, in approval of the application per se, I still think that when we're talking of 6 flats in 2 blocks connected by a shared lift, I still have concerns over the lack of parking. I'm not saying that all flats will have 2 persons in or even 3 persons in. However, most premises this day and age has a minimum of 2 normally under normal circumstances, which equates to, would be 16 cars. Now, parking in River Road is at a high commodity as it is. It's pushed to shove with all the residents. I mean, I do beg the belief that there are facilities in River Road that if certain landlords were prepared to bend a little bit, could assist with some off-road parking. However, that's another discussion. So I do seriously have this issue with the lack of parking spaces that such a build is providing. When it comes down to the so-called parking allotment, if you like, which obviously is designed by county council, and this, that, and the other, whether or not we can push and shape that even more, I don't know. But I'm not happy with the case here. Yes, I'm happy with the 6 flats. I'm just not happy with the case of the allocation of parking, Chairman. I don't think that it's really a grounds for objection, but I think it's there for noting that I'm just not happy knowing that the parking around there is a premium. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Chase.
Yeah, I'd just like to say I wholeheartedly agree with Councillor Buckland.
Thank you. And then we go to Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, the parking remains a big issue for me, and frankly, I don't feel we've moved away from our previous objections anyway with the overshadowing. Reading the various letters coming in from neighbours about the issues that they feel this is going to create. It is a heritage site. The road congestion is going to get a lot worse. The flats opposite are going to be overshadowed. And the wood stove chimney next door will perhaps at some stage, as they say, create a nuisance. So who's going to win on that one? As I say, I really don't feel that this has helped to move us away from our previous objections. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we will go to Councillor Turner.
Please turn your camera on, Councillor Turner.
Yeah, the camera was on.
It's not right now.
It's not working at this end. If you, it's coming on.
Can you hear me? Oh, there we go. I agree with all the councillors, all that has been said. I count that if the flats are all occupied, there'd be 32. There could be up to 32 residents in this block of flats, with only, I think, 8 parking spaces, which I think is lunacy. bearing in mind what River Road is like and the surrounding areas. So I don't see exactly the same as Jill, Councillor Long, that we have moved in any way from the objections that we had on the previous occasion. So I'm very much against this. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I am taking, therefore, that the view of the committee is that we maintain our objections for the grounds of the last objection, which was overlooking for the neighbours, lack of parking and impact on heritage. Is that acceptable?
Agreed.
Yes, I agree with that. Thank you.
Agreed.
Agreed, Chairman.
Yeah, I agree.
Perfect.
Thank you, Chair. Moving on to page 11 on your agendas, then, members, if I may, and starting at the top there at proposal for 17 St Catherine's, which is reference LU 26520 CLP. This is seeking permission to convert the premises to a ground floor studio flat. The arrangement is currently that there is a basement which has bedroom facilities in it, and the applicant is proposing to close off those bedrooms effectively and only have the ground floor area used as a living space, and that would be a studio flat. There aren't any comments on the portal either way on that one.
Councillor Buckland first.
Thank you, Chair. Could Juliet just go through that again? Basement, did you say, please?
Yeah, they had a lower ground level in the building, it looked like from the plans, and they're planning to shut that off and just use the ground floor area as a living space. There's no great detail on there. There is a flooding statement on there, but it's more a history of flooding, which is why the applicant is seeking to shut off that downstairs space, but there's no other assessments of it at all.
Right, okay, thank you. Chairman, that to you, Chairman, that's what I'm concerned about, is regardless to history or not, St Catherine's Road is and Clifton, I also believe Bayford, all three have knowledge of high groundwater, and so I am concerned, Chairman, over the, you know, it's not history, it is common today fact known that we have very high groundwater within these areas, and St Catherine's has been known to flood before, and the premises have been affected only in the last couple of years. So, Chairman, unless I actually had more information on really what was going to be done, and that I would like, you know, a real like we have had done in Pier Road and so forth, which is a flood assessment done in reference from the Environmental Agency, etc., before I could actually go ahead and even dream of approving this. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. And then Councillor Turner.
Has my camera come on?
Yeah, you're fine.
Thank you, Chair. I was a bit confused. I thought what they were doing was converting the lower bit into the studio apartment, not the upper bit. So that's why I was because I was thinking perhaps there was a health and safety issue by converting the lower bit into a studio apartment. But if it's the upper bit, then I have to say I'm a bit confused on that. I've obviously maybe misunderstood. If somebody could clarify for me, please. Thank you.
Yeah. To the best of my knowledge, That was my understanding, Chair. They weren't formal plans as such. They were more drawings, really, which showed the lower parts being bedroom space that was clearly marked out in red, and then the slightly higher ground level bit was going to be used to create the studio flat with a living area, a kitchen area, and a bathroom area as well.
Okay, and then we go to Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chairman. I was confused as well, but the other way round from Councillor Turner. I thought they were going to end up with a studio flat on the ground level plus a bed sitting room on the first floor. Either way, are those rooms going to be large enough anyway? The flooding issue, I mean, was this the one where they had the photographs of wet carpet?
Yeah,
which I completely understood.
Yeah.
But it still leaves a question mark for me about the likelihood of it flooding again at some point. But as I say, I thought it was a ground level area plus a studio on the first floor. I simply don't feel that we have got enough information available to us to make a decision. Thank you.
Okay, so the elements I have written down are lack of clarity over flooding, which Councillor Buckland raised, questions over the room size, which Councillor Long raised, and I suppose there is a general confusion on what the proposal is. Could I suggest that if there are doubts, could I suggest we lodge an objection on these grounds with a caveat that if we provided with further information that clarifies this, we will revisit. Would that be acceptable?
Agreed, Chairman.
Thank you, Chair. That's noted, and I've got the grounds of concern too.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you. Moving on, then we've done the next two. So the next one to look at is number 34, Jay's Close. That's reference LU 28120 for members, and this is a proposal for a ramp to provide access for a person with disabilities. No comments on the website, Chair.
Okay, any member wish to speak on 34 Jay's Close? Councillor Buckland.
Thank you, Chairman. Not much to say on this, really, Chairman. It's a case of that the highest percentage of residents within Jay's Close are of elderly and frail, and that any type of ramp and that for them to gain access to their premises is obviously a necessity, and that so I don't have any objection against this, totally support it, and under the world of disabilities I hope the members would too. So, you know, totally supportive of this application, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, and then Councillor Long.
No, I'm very happy with it on the same grounds that Councillor Buckland has already outlined. This will obviously make somebody's life a lot easier, and I think it's a very good idea. Happy to support it.
Thank you. So I think is that a general assent that there's no objection to the application?
I agree to that, Chairman.
Agreed.
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 Perfect.
Okay.
And I think we might make a prediction on the next one as well then.
Without prejudging, yeah. The next one at 78 Southfields Road, LU 28220 for members. Again, that's a similar proposal for ramp to give access there.
I totally agree, Chairman.
I have no objection.
No objection.
No objection. There's a disabled parking space, excuse me, at the end of the footpath, which when I looked on Google Earth had a car parked in it. So again, if it makes people a person's life easier, then I'm happy to support.
Perfect. That one was nice and easy.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. No objection there. The next one on page 11 there for members is LU 29420, which is an application at Brookfield Park. And that is an application by the District Council to insert a flagpole in a public space there. Again, there are no comments on that application.
Thank you. And Councillor Chase, I believe, wants to declare an interest at this point.
Yes, please. I'd like to declare a personal interest as chair of Brookfield Park.
That's noted. Thank you.
I think Councillor Turner needs to declare as well. Sorry, Andrea, you probably didn't realise.
That's all right, David. I was just about to follow suit. So I have to declare an interest as a friend of Brookfield Park.
Thank you both. And then we will go to Councillor Long first.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, happy with the idea of having a flagpole. I just get concerns about, are there going to be ropes on it all the time? Is it going to be standing up all the time? Do we have to consider any sort of risk assessment from that point of view? It is quite secluded there. I know you've got houses coming up to that area, then there's a play area across the grass. Yeah, I mean, my experience at the moment being involved with Scouts is risk assessing everything that isn't, you know, something that you can pick up and lock away. As I say, my concerns are really about how and when it's going to be used and the potential for injury or damage. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we go to Councillor Buckland.
Thank you, Chairman. First off, I'd just like to declare interest that I am actually a Arran District Councillor, and that on that front, and I will actually totally concur with Councillor Long for once for tonight, and that is the case of well, who's going to maintain it? Who's going to look after it? That scenario, and what's it really going in there for? Other than obviously a flagpole, which is quite explanatory. But yeah, who's going to maintain it? What's it going to be used? You know, basically, is it going to be something that's going to be passed over to the town council to maintain and go and put a flag up when it's required? All right, okay, Jules has just pumped up in the air with that. So, thank you, Chairman. So that's where I am. Thank you.
On the basis the Assistant Town Clerk has information.
So no wish to interrupt the flow, Chair, but just to say there are details of the fittings. A lot of flagpoles now, they do have the rope work is discreetly installed within the pole, so it's less of a hazard. And although I don't know for sure, I would venture to suggest that as the District Council are making this application, they will make every effort to ensure that it is used in the appropriate way and properly maintained.
Thank you. Then we go to Councillor Chase.
Yeah, I'd just like to add to what Jules has said. It is a ADC application. They will fully look after it, and it is, the flagpole is intended because Brookfield Park has just won the Green Flag Award.
Thank you. So on that basis, do we have any objection to this application?
No, I'll support, Chairman.
No objection.
Still not entirely happy, but I'll go with the general consensus.
Thank you. I think we'll take that as just about a general assent of no objection.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Moving on to members' supplementary lists, if I may, which were circulated. And the first one on that list is the property at 15 Beach Road, and that's LU 29520. And this is a resubmission really of a previous application that was withdrawn, and that's to change the use of a retail premises there, which is currently used as all office space. And the proposal is to keep the ground floor as office space, but to create two-bedroom flats in the premises above. The previous application that this committee saw, although it was withdrawn, members had no objections then. There are comments from the District Council's housing team with conditions that they'd like to see imposed, and design access statements with the plans.
Thank you. Any comments, questions or observations on this application? Yes, Councillor Turner.
I think if the district has put in some queries and questions, then we need to follow suit with those and support those. That would be my view anyway.
Yeah. Just to be clear, Chair, they're just suggesting conditions that would be attached to any approval if the application was agreed.
Yep. And then Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, it's going to be an awful lot of work going on to convert the offices. I was concerned about the number of questions that were coming up about fire risk assessments and ensuring that all the right equipment, safety equipment, was in place on completion. I'm still concerned about the size of the rooms again. There's, I know there's a parking area behind. It's quite large, called the Manor House car park. But there doesn't appear to be anywhere where they might be able to put bicycles safely, unless they just leave them in the court, the yard area at the back. But who would want to do that necessarily? If not, you have to hoik them upstairs to either the first or second floor to get to the flats through the new doorway that's going to be created. Yeah, just those sort of general concerns, I think, at the moment. It's really the room sizes and space for cycles. I don't know. They're saying put the bins in. Yeah, the bins to be in the rear yard or collected by own commercial collector, which threw me completely. I didn't really know what that meant. Not that it's necessarily important in this discussion. Yeah, I think those are my main concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Councillor Buckland.
Thank you, Chairman. I totally agree again, twice in one night with Councillor Long. Never be said. Chairman, I totally agree. I mean, there is nowhere for bicycles to be done, so there should be some kind of cycle storage. In reference to bin collection, well, it's normally done by our normal waste collectors, but they just have to have the bins outside. I didn't think we objected. I thought we felt okay where the room sizes were concerned last time. So I'll go with a flow on that. You know, because that's what we agreed to last time. However, I do think they need to make some kind of storage facilities downstairs, because there's no way, even if they had to carry the bikes upstairs, one, that would be deemed as dangerous and would be a health and safety issue, and two, they wouldn't be allowed to be stored in the corridor, because that would also be a fire risk as well, because obviously you need to have corridors and all the rest of it free from any type of obstruction, sorry, to, you know, to make sure that would be safe. So that's not going to happen. So I do believe they do need to make something or put something in place for that to happen, including the bin storage to make safe. So I don't know if that's something that we can insist on. I don't think it's something we can object on, but maybe something that it can be added to, as with the requests being made by Arran District Council. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. So I think the comments seem to be going around the lack of cycle parking.
Yeah.
If I could come back, Chairman.
Of course.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I mean that's the cycle parking's one thing. Obviously, car parking, as Councillor Long has already said, you know, there's the Manor House car park. I mean that's free from whatever it is, 8 o'clock at night until what was it, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. So as long as they got their cars out by that time, they'd be okay, unless of course they want to pay whatever it is, £450, £460 now, is it, to have a permit for parking in there per year, which allows them to park in all town centre car parks. So yes, Chairman, it would be the cycling provision and bin storage. But like I said, I don't know if that's the grounds of objecting, but the main point is that we as a committee approved the last application due to the room sizes were the correct sizes. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, so we have a problem with cycle storage and bin storage. Is there a general assent to that, or do we need to go to a vote?
I would certainly support that. It is a town centre location. It would make sense for them to have somewhere to safely store their bicycles.
I agree as well.
Me too.
There we go. That is general assent achieved.
So is that an objection then on the storage issues?
I think that is the view of the committee, yes.
Can we do that then, Chair, on them grounds?
You can object on any grounds you like. Whether they'll listen to them is up to them.
Indeed, yes. The District Council will determine the validity of the objection, but if members do have those concerns, given it's in a town centre location, that would be better storage facilities required for both bikes and bins. Okay.
Yep.
We'll move on to the last application then this evening, and that's on the supplementary list again, and that's at 7 Cornfield Close, and that is application LU 28320, and that is to install a driveway at the property. Again, there aren't any comments on the portal, Chair.
Thank you. Any comments from anyone about the Cornfield Close driveway? Who A lot have come up now. So we've got Councillor Long, then Councillor Turner, then Councillor Rhodes. So Councillor Long first.
We're all starting to get in on the act now. Yes, I had a look at this one. Yeah, driveway and a dropped curb. So it goes across the public footpath. The vehicle will cross it, but it does get the car off from road parking. But it reduces the availability for anybody else unless they're visiting the house. Was all that went through my mind, because you can't park across somebody's driveway and it's coming straight off the road. It's not like the one next door, which comes off sort of an entrance to, I think it was garages or something. That was my only concern. I assume there's sufficient splay on the driveway, the entrance, the drop curb. She says, sounding as though she knew what she was talking about. I don't know what the limits are for something of that width.
No,
those are my concerns.
From the county council either as the highways authority, so I couldn't say.
Okay, thank you.
And then we go to Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Chair. Bearing in mind the situation in Cornfield Close and the congestion that is there at the moment, especially at the moment, I can understand why somebody would want to have their driveway done and a dropped curb. So I don't see any real objection to that. I would say to Councillor Long that if somebody was visiting, and then they would be okay to be visiting and block the driveway, because we often have visitors to our house and they'll park in front of the driveway here because they're coming into my house anyway, so it doesn't matter as long as the public pathway isn't blocked. It shouldn't really be a problem, but that's my view and I've got no objection to this. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Councillor Rhodes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I think Jill and Andrea have both taken the words out of my mouth, really. You know, my first thought was, great, get a car off the road and onto somebody's private property, which seemed like the best idea to me. I totally get where Jill's coming from, that it is taking that parking space away from somebody else that probably doesn't have anything to do with that property. But, you know, if we can give somebody parking outside their own house off the road, then I think that's all good.
Thank you, Councillor Buckland.
Thank you, Chairman. Totally supportive of this application due to the fact that, as other councillors have already said, it's the case of that basically, as we know, we've got the new housing development being built. We've also got the access to Cornfield School, and that's so all around that. So basically removing a car from the road, allowing it to have its own on-site parking as such is beneficial. So yes, Chairman, totally supportive, and I think it's a great idea. Okay, it might be a loss to one, but if you've got visitors or whichever, they can park across your drive anyway, so that wouldn't be so much of a problem, and depending on how well you get on with your neighbours and that. So it's, yeah, totally supportive, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, and then I believe Councillor Long might wish to come back.
Yeah, I think other councillors have actually clarified what I was trying to say was, yes, it's good to get one car off of the road and makes it better access for emergency vehicles, etc., and anything large going down that way. But as I say, it reduces the availability for anybody other than visitors coming to that house. That was all. But I mean, it's good that they want to have their own space. And it does get a car off the road. Thank you.
Thank you. So I am condensing all that down to we have no objection. Is that fair?
Correct.
Agreed, Chairman.
Agreed.
Yes, happy with that.
There we go. Perfect. Right. Thank you, everyone. So that concludes the planning applications at 7.1, and then we come to 7.2, just in case you wanted to go away. Planning application on the empty supermarket premises at Avon Road.
Yes, Chair, this is a resubmission. Members might recall when we saw it last month that there was a strong indication that this application may well come back, and it has. It's come back in a reduced scheme, really, and in essence, and unfortunately the portal, according to me, is still unavailable to us. It's come back with a reduction in housing units down from 50 to 37, and that's a mixture of 1, 2 and 3 bedroom properties. That comes with it a reduction in parking provision, with the number of spaces reduced down from 25 to 19. There are also changes to the height across the scheme of the 2 and 3-storey parts of the development, and some changes to the proposed materials so that they will be more in keeping with some of the materials that are existing in the surrounding area, such as the introduction of more flint and red brick. There are further objections on the planning portal. Unfortunately, I can't show you anything on the screen, but that's a summary of the revised proposals. Hand it over to the committee for comment, Chair.
Councillor Buckland first.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm finding this application becoming more of a joke than anything else. I just cannot see for the life of me how they keep managing to come down. You know, each time it's resubmitted, it's less and less and less accommodation. When it started off, you know, seriously in the high double figures, as we well know. And one of our objections that I remember certainly was obviously the amount of accommodation that was being put in. We've now come down to, was it 37, I think Jules said. But again, here we go again. We've now got 37 and a reduction in car parking spaces. The town car parking facility, as we all know it, is at a premium. All around the surrounding streets is of a high premium. You know, the residents themselves are fighting in the streets over them, you know, not necessarily fighting, but arguing, whichever, because there's not enough parking spaces for people to live in and around places like Queen Street and so forth. You know, what's it going to be? Pile them all into Church Street, pile them into, well, there's no parking in the lower part of East Street, as you're fully aware. Chairman, I just, and I, you know, red brick and flint, really? Okay, you know, the whole thing, sorry, Chairman, but I don't care what grounds on, I object to this application. Thank you.
Okay, and then Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Chair. Like Councillor Buckland, I've been consistently against this development. They've taken it down to 37 properties now, with only 19 parking spaces, with the best will in the world. With 37 places at 2 people in each apartment, that's 74 people potentially having cars. There's nowhere near enough parking facility for all these people that are going to be resident there, that would be resident there. And I just find this is totally out of keeping with the town centre development. I just don't like it at all. So I'm very much against it. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I agree with my colleagues. I can't see that this is going to do anything to invigorate our high street area, which is what I would have loved to have seen. I know that's not something that we can use as an objection, but it would have been nice if a developer had come along with something, you know, more adventurous, perhaps. Yeah, number of residences, number of parking spaces, it never adds up. Never adds up. So I will support an objection on that basis. Thank you.
Thank you. So, having heard, this is a re-advertisement, so our objection is already in. Am I to take it that members are happy for our objections that we've made, which are on parking, innkeepingness, etc.? Are we happy to just allow our objection to stand, or?
Yes, definitely.
Yes, agreed.
Agreed, Chairman.
I didn't even get to the all, so we'll just let our objection stand then.
Unless you can put anything else to it, Chairman.
No, I was just going to say, or do you want to rewrite it so it's something different? But if you're happy with what we've got, we're happy with what we've got.
We could maybe reiterate.
I will do. The comments regarding the parking, that the reduction in parking was not adequate given the potential occupancy levels.
Thank you, Jules.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joel. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Item 7.3 is a Rampion 2 Community Project Liaison Group update.
Yeah, and that's just briefly to notify members that the week before last, the first meeting of that particular group took place. And I have only recently received details of a draft terms of reference and draft notes. So that members are aware, that meeting comprised approximately 20 representatives from various stakeholders, and members will be pleased to hear that a lot of the comments that you made at committee were taken on board within that group in terms of its representation, taking into consideration all the activity that had taken place when Rampion 1 was developed and community engagement. So they've taken that forward and replicated it for Rampion 2. In terms of representation going forward, the proposal is that because the group could be quite large, one representative from each stakeholder organisation with the provision for a substitution. And in that respect, the draft terms of reference will be presented to Council at its meeting next week for consideration in terms of who from Town Council goes along there. And what Rampion will be doing going forward is they'll be updating their own website so that they can publish material that is looked at by these types of groups with agendas and minutes, and it's approximately 3 meetings a year, and they will be timed to coincide with critical points in the work that they're doing. So the next meeting probably won't be until late January, early February next year, which is when we'll start to see more information emerging as they hope to move to a more formal consultation on proposals next spring. So really that's just for members to note, but if anybody was particularly interested in representing the Town Council and the committee wished to make a recommendation, there is that option too. Otherwise to note, Chair.
All right, thank you. Councillor Turner.
Jules, thank you, Chair. Jules, you're saying that somebody from the Town Council will be on this liaison group. Will it be somebody from Arran District as well, or is it just from the Town Council?
I can't remember, but I suspect the answer is yes. They'll be engaged more formally anyway, as although they're the local planning authority, they do have certain obligations along the coast here. So, but I can check that certainly in terms of who was there.
I have to say, I don't feel sufficiently qualified to be considered as somebody to
Oh,
sorry, did you get that?
I did.
Yeah, we did. Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chair. I wouldn't dream of putting myself forward for something like this, but I was contacted by Radio Sussex, BBC Radio Sussex, after our previous meeting where we discussed this, to pick up on some of the points that we'd raised. I'm still not sure why they chose me to contact, but just to say that they did, and that I talked to them about my concerns were, as we discussed, about the livestock in the sea and what effect this was going to have. Just thought I'd mention. Thank you.
Thank you. On account that there is no one is willing to put themselves forward, we will leave that, I think, for full council to decide. Is that okay?
No, thank you, Chair. That's fine. Just to say that all of those issues that Councillor Long referred to were discussed and they had cropped up before, so they are learning the lessons from Rampion 1 and hoping to apply them in the next stage of the project.
Chairman?
Yes.
In that case, I'm more than happy to, if the members are happy, rather than having to take it through to, mind you, it's probably have to be ratified via full council.
Well,
so I'm more than happy to stand as representative if you're happy for me to do so, Chairman. Thank you.
Excellent news. Is anyone is the committee happy that we recommend Councillor Buckland as our representative?
Yes.
Like, saves us doing it. If Ian really has got the time to do it, because this is going to be a big task over the coming months and probably years. It's
only about wind, Jill, so it's fine.
I'm not saying anything, Ian.
I agree with Jill. I'm happy for Ian Buckland to represent us. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So that we'll make that recommendation to full council then.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Item 8 is transportation and other West Sussex County Council matters, of which 8.1 is the Highways England A27 Arundel preferred route announcement. Yeah,
and that's really for members to note, Chair, but that's the formal notice that we received from Highways England. The next steps really are Highways England are beavering away now on the detailed design and survey work, and we can expect to see a further public consultation at some point on the preferred route and what it will look like, but I don't know what the timeline is for that.
Thank you. So we will note that decision and await further consultation as it comes. Item 9 is Master Plan North Littlehampton.
And again, Chair, I don't have any update as yet, other than to say that the steering group meets tomorrow morning, so we can report outcomes from that at the next meeting.
All right, thank you very much. Item 10 is exempt business, of which I'm pleased to say there is none.
Sorry, Chair.
Sorry,
Jules. Steering group's meeting tomorrow?
Yes.
Am I not on the steering group? I thought I was. Would you mind checking and let me know, because I've not heard anything about this?
Yeah, you're down as a substitute on our behalf, I think, aren't you? Yeah, papers have only just come out, so I can get those to you. It's a 9:30 start.
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
I'm in that meeting as a Arran District Councillor.
Yeah.
Is it really, Jules? 9:30? I thought it was 10 till 11:30.
They pushed it forward, Ian, I think.
Are they? All right.
Yeah, I've got the agenda in front of me. It's 9:30 to 11:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I wasn't in the office last week. I think there may have been some changes there anyway, but certainly Councillor Long as substitute, I'll make sure that you receive that information after the meeting.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Thank
No
you.
lying, Jill.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. There is no exempt business, so I will declare the meeting closed at 7:58, and thank you, as always, to all the staff and officers who have helped us run this, and have a good evening, everyone.
Thanks, Freddie. Good night. Thank you.
Committee,
Thanks,
good
Brett.
evening.
All right.
Good night.